Well, good morning, Wellspring. Good morning. It's so nice to see you in person. It's been almost 4 months since I've been able to be here, so great to see you again. It's a lot different than being on Zoom than being here in person because I actually get to hug you all, so I'm so blessed. So, welcome to Zoomland, and you are going to be muted, and we'll unmute you at the end here. Today is Sunday, September 24th, and my name is Vicki Avery. I am one of the board members here, and I am just so happy to be back. So thank you all for your welcomings and your prayers over the last few weeks. So we have some announcements as always. So Early Birds still meets Sunday mornings at 9:30 via Zoom, and the link is on our weekly email or on our website. And our speaker today is our own Dr. Edward. And speakers for October. October 1st is Reverend Kamatara. On the 8th is Reverend Sandy Scott. On the 15th, Dr. Edward will be with us. And on the 22nd, Donna Stryker will be here. She is a long-time practitioner, so she will be with us giving us a message. And then on the 29th, some other long-time practitioners, Doug and Tina Bailey, will be here. Thursday evening group is still meeting Thursdays. That's appropriate, isn't it? At 7 p.m. They're continuing the series with Greg Braden called The Missing Links. And Judy always says it blows her mind every Thursday. So it's a good opportunity for coming together with like-minded folks and getting your mind blown. On Saturday, October 7th, Teresa Venezuela will present a workshop on the shadow effect. Teresa is a practitioner over at CSL. And the shadow effect is a journey from your darkest thought to your greatest dream. And that workshop will run from 1 until 4 on Saturday the 7th, and the cost is $25. And then in October, our community get-together will be on Sunday, the 29th, at White Sands for the full moon with Randy Granger. I went a few years ago. It's amazing. It's a magical place, and of course his music is brilliant. So it is something that is worthwhile. And carpooling will be available with the departure times to be announced closer to the event. And then also we want to remind you that we do a live collection towards the end of our service. So if you want to get things ready, if you care to contribute. And lastly, our prayer team remains ready to serve you and support you. And you may submit a request via our webpage or give it to Edward. We do have some slips at the back of the sanctuary here. Our prayer team meets virtually on Tuesday afternoons at 4:15 to pray with you. You may consider sitting in your quiet space during that time. We know that we are one in spirit, and the energy of prayer knows no limits. And now for the invocation. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit, the all that is, that flows in, through, and around each one of us. We gather today as a like-minded community, and we give great thanks for this time to come together as Wellspring. It's a new day, a new season, new autumn season is with us as things start to calm down and we are able to reap our harvest of all that we have sown through these last few weeks and months. It's a great time to be alive on this planet, and we love and support each other on each other's spiritual journey. And we say together, and so it is. And now, if you're able to stand for our song of joy. Y'all done that real good. All right. If you all say together with us our vision, mission, and affirmation. Our vision is to elevate spiritual consciousness in our world. Our mission, to support individual spiritual quests through celebration, study, counsel, loving fellowship, and service. And our affirmation, the presence of spirit within me blesses everyone I meet, tends to heal everything I touch, brings gladness into the life of everyone I contact. I am blessing to myself, to humankind, and the day in which I live, and so it is. Thank you. And now we have our special music with Judy Bethmann and Barry Shaw. The dynamic duo.
Well, Barry always forces me to learn new songs, which is good for me, you know. This one is by Terry Wilder, and it's called Forever New. And so I really like the words that are expressed through this song. Okay. These eyes are new, this smile is new. Every step I take across each mile is new. Each breath is new, each taste is new. Everyone I meet and every place is new. And always and ever, nothing changes the same. Moment to moment, never again. Oh, da, 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 da. I move the stand. Yeah. Each thought is new, each word is new. Every sound you think you've ever heard is new. The sky is new, the earth is new. Every instant brings another birth of you. And always and ever, nothing stays the same. Moment to moment, never again. All is eternally changed, forever new. Heartbeat to heartbeat, time into time, the only evermore is the divine. Each way is new, each how is new. Now I know that every here and now is new. Forever new. Thank
beautiful song. And Barry, thank you for allowing her to expand her horizons and have a new song.
I gave her 7 choices.
Only 7?
That was too many for her. Oh, no, she chose, by the way. No.
That was beautiful. Well, now it's time for our reading. And I was in meditation trying to decide. Thank you. That was the universal sign. I forgot my glasses. Okay. This was written in 1927 by Max Ehrman, and I think it's still relevant today. It's called the Desiderata. Go placidly amidst the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and the ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. If you compare yourself with others, you may become vain or bitter, for always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. Enjoy your achievements as well as your plans. Keep interested in your own career, however humble. It is a real possession in the changing fortune of time. Exercise caution in your business affairs, for the world is full of trickery. But let this not blind you to what virtue there is. Many persons strive for high ideals, and everywhere life is full of heroism. Be yourself. Especially do not feign affection, neither be cynical about love, for in the face of all aridity and disenchantment, it is as perennial as the grass. Take kindly the counsel of the years, gracefully surrendering the things of youth. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Nurture strength of spirit to shield you in sudden misfortune, but do not distress yourself with dark imaginings. Many fears are born of fatigue and loneliness. Beyond a wholesome discipline, be gentle with yourselves. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here. And whether or not it is clear to you, no doubt the universe is unfolding as it should. Therefore, be at peace with God, whatever you conceive God to be. And whatever your labors and aspirations in the noisy confusion of life, keep peace in your soul. With all its sham, drudgery, and broken dreams, it is still a beautiful world. Be cheerful. Strive to be happy. So it is. And now, it's my great honor to introduce Dr. Edward.
Thank you, Vicki. So I had the idea to speak on the law of attraction. And I thought, well, we all know what that is. I mean, how are you going to fill, 20 minutes of talking about the law of attraction? But I thought, well, let me check, on that source called the internet. And amazingly enough, you can type into a search box, Ernest Holmes attraction. And in this case, it brought up a talk that he gave on attraction, power of attraction. And so it does turn out that there's a lot of his talks have been put up on the internet. So if you do want to learn a little bit more about what Ernest Holmes thought, you can do that. And of course, another area of familiarity or reason we might be familiar with it is that The Secret, which is a well-known book and a well-known movie, deals with the power of attraction. And in The Secret, you know, they talk about dream charts and folks having the light turn green when they get to it and the red light or whatever, and maybe finding a parking spot. And there's a lot of things that is sort of in the common knowledge or thought about the power of attraction. But Ernest Holmes talked about the needle on the compass and how it points north at all times. And we might know why that is. It's due to the magnetism of the needle. However, all metals have the ability to be magnetized, but they're usually the molecular domains within the magnet are in all a variety of directions, and it's not aligned with the north and south poles perfectly aligned with one another in order for it to point north. And he makes the analogy to that as us, is that if you think about our thoughts, you know, they're all over the place. Some are thinking about what we had for breakfast, others what we want for dinner, and we talk about using the power of attraction, but we're just all over the place most of the time. And so that does, just in the way of a piece of metal not always pointing to north, when it's confused, when we're confused, we don't get ourselves aligned with the true north and bring in the power of that. Anyway, I thought, you know, I haven't done this in quite a while. I have a little show and tell, let's just call it that. And when I was a child, the Highlights magazine was a fairly popular magazine. And there was a little section in there. It was usually a 2-panel cartoon. It was called Goofus and Gallant. All right, well, it sounds like many of you. And this was, you know, modeling maybe call it bad behavior on the part of Goofus and more appropriate behavior on the part of Gallant as they reacted to a situation. So I've, let's get myself set up here because I want us to really, I want me to get this together, right? So I came up with the idea of Doofus and Dan. And, well, Doofus, well, let's just say they both have kind of similar backgrounds and maybe social status, whatever. Maybe they both come from middle-class families. You know, they're both married in their 20s. They each have 2 children. And as a matter of fact, Doofus and Dan, they were born in the same place, and they even have the same career. They're both craftsmen. Okay. So anyway, so Dan, you know, he lives in a nice neighborhood. He takes a lot of pride in his home. And he drives a late model, but, you know, it's not a brand new car. And he has a good relationship with his wife and kids, and his children respect him. Well, Doofus, he lives kind of around the block, but it's still the same neighborhood. But his house might not be well maintained. You know, it's got some nicks around the edges and so forth. And he has a couple of beater cars in the family. And, you know, his relationships are kind of so-so. As a matter of fact, his children tend to ignore him. So in the evening, Dan comes home and he interacts with the family. He helps the children with their homework and things like that and has a reasonable evening. Well, Dan, he kind of comes home in the evening. He has a couple beers before dinner because after all, his job's kind of tough and he deserves it. And then he has dinner and he watches TV and he might have another beer or 2. And he falls asleep, or you might say he passes out in front of the TV in his recliner. Dan, well, as I said, he's well liked by his family and his friends. He gets along with everybody. You might say he has a bit of a magnetic personality. And he has a lot of friends that he's attracted to. Well, of course, we're talking about Dan now. Like I said, he's a little tougher, rough around the edges. He's a bit of a loner, and he's definitely not much of a personality. You know, maybe he has one friend in his life. Who knows? But anyway, Doofus and Dan are going along their life, and one day they meet in the local home improvement store. They're over in the tool section checking things out, and they're comparing different brands and so forth. And they realize they might have seen each other in the store before, maybe even on more than one occasion. So they kind of strike up a conversation and they begin talking to one another, compare notes on their job and the neighborhood and that kind of thing. And, you know, Dan is just so easy to talk to, and Doofus realizes that Dan has a much happier life than he does. He says, well, Dan, you always seem so happy and lucky. What's your secret? Well, Dan says, well, I wouldn't call it luck. It's just that my personal philosophy is one of optimism, and it just seems to work out the way I expect. Well, how can you be so optimistic? The only luck I seem to have is bad luck. Well, Dan says, it wasn't always like that. A few years ago, I picked up a book that really made a difference in my life. He says it talked about how attitude makes a difference and how you attract situations and people into your life for your own growth and learning. Well, that sounds a bit like voodoo, but hey, things couldn't be much worse for me. What's the name of that book? Well, Dan told him, and they went on their respective ways. Several months went by before they met up in the store again. This time, Doofus seemed in better spirits. And Dan says, well, how's it going? And Doofus says, well, believe it or not, I actually read the book you suggested. It sure showed me a lot about what a sad shape my attitude was. But I was curious and determined to try out some of the ideas. Well, you do seem more upbeat than before. Anything in particular you tried? It's amazing. You could hardly believe it. You know, I read about the power of attraction, and I thought, what the hey, I'll give it a shot. You know how I hated my job, so I thought I'd try it there first. Nothing like starting with the small stuff for me, you know. Well, long story short, I overheard these guys in line at the coffee shop talking about how they were so short-handed at work and they couldn't find good help these days. So I thought, well, and I approached them. Before you know it, I had an interview, and a week later, I had a job. Well, anything else? You wouldn't believe it. It's like night and day. Old job, everybody was around complaining. They didn't appreciate me. The new job was challenging and supportive. I trained on some new stuff, and it's really exciting. What a great bunch of folks to work with. Hey, and get this. Instead of calling me Doofus, they started calling me Do First, because I was always ready to try out some new project. I guess I've always had it in me, but it sure helped to have that supportive environment. We're so busy, and there's plenty of overtime. I finally got our credit cards paid off. What a relief. Wow, Dan says, that sounds amazing. Your demeanor has changed so much since I first met you. You just glow when you talk about your job. Hey, and if you think that's not amazing, you know, my wife had that clunker of a car that was always breaking down, and she was always complaining about it, to put it mildly. One of the guys at work was selling his parents' car. It was a late model car. It was in great shape. It didn't have much mileage on it or anything. Hey, talk about being in the right place and the right time. I got a good deal on it, and my wife is pleased as punch. You know what they say? Happy wife, happy life. You can say that again, says Doofus. Not only that, but believe it or not, my kids actually seem to like being around me again. It sure sounds like you've made some positive changes in your thinking and your life. You know, it all started with meeting you and reading that book you recommended. Thanks. You're welcome. But you know, it wouldn't have worked if you hadn't put into practice what you were reading. Yeah, I guess that is true. It wouldn't have made any difference if I hadn't actually done something with what I was reading. You're a good friend. And that's how Doofus got his magnetic and attractive personality. So we'll set this stuff aside for a moment. Look at that. It's attractive all over the countertop here. So it's probably obvious to you during the story just how the law of attraction was operating and how some of the other tenets of our belief system were working through that. You know, they say we're always creators and we're always creating, whether we really realize it or not. Well, the same goes with attraction. We're always using the law of attraction. We're always attracting, whether we realize it or not. You know, our energy field extends beyond your body. It's kind of like, if you have trouble visualizing that, it's kind of like Pigpen in Charlie Brown, you know, where he's got this cloud around him all the time. Well, we've got this energy field around us all the time. And whatever we have holding in our field there will attract others or situations or whatever it takes. In many cases, the energy field wants to be self-sustaining, so it will attract to itself, if you will. I mean, not that it has that kind of a consciousness, but whatever it takes to maintain itself and to support its belief system. So, you know, if you take or look at a list of your beliefs, somewhere in your field, every one of those beliefs is broadcasting at their individual frequency. And others with similar beliefs are attracted to that broadcast. So, you know what Holmes said, you know, our thoughts and ideas might be all over the place and confused. You know, we'd be less in alignment with God, with the God field, and less likely to live in peace and harmony. And in the same way, we're less likely to hear or see or sense the cues from our intuition leading us onward. And I also want to relate this to the idea of the concept of mental equivalent in affirmative prayer. So we create or visualize the mental equivalent of a new situation that we seek, and then we leave it up to the universe to fill in the blanks and attract the proper pieces to make this happen. Greg Braden talks about the heart-brain connection. Others do as well. And they both, our heart and our brain, have a magnetic field. And when we align those magnetic fields or harmonize those energies with one another, we can affect our body chemistry. And that actually has an effect on our biological processes and on, you know, the larger body, if you will. So you could say that alignment at one level attracts alignment at the other levels of the system. And this is not just a spiritual belief. There are experiments in the physical world that confirm this as well. You know, the commonly quoted and known one is the free throw practice, where they took two groups of folks who were fellows, I think, young boys that were wanting to better themselves in basketball. And they broke the group into, they took one group, they broke it into two. One group actually for 30 days practiced with a basketball throwing free throws. And the other group for the 30 days imagined themselves making baskets, throwing the ball through the hoop every time. And at the end of the 30 days, the two groups were indistinguishable from one another in their actual performance on the basketball, with the basketball on the court. So the visualization created that muscle memory, which then they could put into practice. And many athletes use the same technique. A lot of times you'll see the athlete, I was thinking one of a long jumper, they're going through their visualization before they actually do it, or the high jumper, or what have you. The whole thing, they're building that muscle memory. And, so if they don't like their performance on the field, then they go back and practice some more, right? And if you don't like your performance in Earth School here, you can go back and practice. You can practice and practice. And you can practice in your mind is the point. It doesn't have to be in the physical necessarily. And I also want to say that, we start a prayer with a feeling of gratitude. This gratitude that we've already received, what it is we're praying for or trying to attract in our affirmative prayer. And you know that I'm not going to apologize for quoting or giving some examples from Greg Braden, but we have been listening to and watching some videos by Greg Braden over the last several weeks, and even before that in some cases. But he does give an example of a Native American praying for rain. And he went out and watched the Native American praying for rain in their prayer spot, and suddenly it began raining. And he kind of said, well, how did you do that? I mean, it was successful. And he says, well, yeah, it's pretty dry around here, but he said, I imagined what it would feel like to have the mud going through my toes and the raindrops on my hair. And he says, I didn't spend any time thinking about how dry it was. I spent my time immersing myself in the experience of it raining. And it rained. And that's kind of where we try to come from affirmative prayer. It's not to pray, I don't want this and I don't want that. It's, what do I want? What am I trying to attract into my experience? And that old expression, as above, so below? It's sort of that which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below. And you could say, similarly, as within, so without. And you can read that in both directions. If you don't like what's out there, it's only a reflection of what's in here. You want to change what's out there, choose what's in here a little differently. And the law of attraction has no choice. It has to, because you are now creating a different resonance within, and it is attracting from without. So it's not a whole lot different than, that law, CYT, say CYL, choose your thinking, change your life. And the concept from The Secret of the Dream Board and many other self-help exercises that work that way are really focus on what you want, focus on the new reality that you'd rather have. Don't be talking about what you don't want in your life. And you feed that dream with energy, just like the Native American feeling the rain. So it's pretty simple. The law of attraction is a very simple thing. I think we're the ones that make it not. Sometimes with all change, what are our fears with respect to that change? As we're trying to change our resonance, our fears come into place, right? And we also, in many respects, I believe we have to make room for the new. We want something new, we have to make room for it. You know, a lot of times we think, well, we want it different, but mostly the same. Like, well, how different is it going to be? And another thing is, are you being too specific about what it is you're looking for? A lot of times we'll say, visualize this or something better. You know, if you want a new car and you think you need a Ford, would you pass up a Mercedes? I don't know, you might, but you know, the point being is, I guess that's a stereotype. And also, what is mine to do at this moment? Do we just, I want to be a millionaire. Where is it? Kind of thing. And I also think, is it believable? Is what it is we're attracting, is it believable? It doesn't mean is it believable to me or to you. Is it believable to the one that has that dream? You know, I'm not sure that would really happen. But I wanna. Yeah. Okay. And I also think, because we're humans, that sometimes we have to be more rational in the step or the size of the change we want to make. And I give this example of someone who's working at a job for, you know, minimum wage, 20 bucks an hour or whatever, and they want to get a job that pays $100,000 a year. It is possible. It might take a little longer, but it is possible. But do they believe it? Well, you know, but I could make 30,000, or, you know, people believe that, but it's a little hard for us to trust ourselves enough to believe that we're going to make a step from, you know, 25 or 30,000 to 100,000. So sometimes we can get discouraged because we have created something that is beyond our ability to accept at this moment. But no matter what, I'll just put it this way. We live in a supportive and obedient universe. Whatever we speak from Spirit will be given to us. And so it is. So it is. So let's take this to prayer. You know, we are so grateful that we have the ability to be here today in person and on Zoom. The technology of Zoom served us so well, continues to serve us. We can reach folks. We can join in community with folks that are beyond the physical limitations here. We give thanks for that, and we know that within our community and the larger community, our friends, our family, we have those who are working at attracting a different reality to their experience. We know that this is all possible. We know that it is possible for each and every one of us to change our reality through the power of our thought. So we hold that for those who are struggling with, be it health, be it housing, be it finances, a new job. We support everyone in that quest. We add our energy to help with that alignment in their new goals. We see for them that this is unfolding every day, right here, right now, for each and every one of them, and for ourselves. This new reality is here now, right now. So we give thanks that we even understand how the law works. We give thanks for our ability to use it consciously to change our reality. And we know that the universe must respond with our requests by saying yes. Yes, my beloved, it is so. So we place this in alignment with the One. We place this in alignment with the law, and we know that it is being operated on right here and right now. And we release it, let it go, and say thank you, because so it is, and so it is. Now we have some more music, is that correct? Yes. You guys are up for this, fantastic. Do you want your water?
Oh, this song is called How Then Shall We Live? How then shall we live with peace in our hearts and light from our souls? How then shall we live, remembering we are whole, knowing who we are, we can be free. When love is where we start, we're giving life to every seed. How then shall we live with peace in our hearts and light from our souls? How then shall we live, remembering we are whole? It's simple and it's clear. Live today, loving way. The gifts we're here to give, will show us how to pray. Oh, how then shall we live with peace in our hearts and light from our souls? How then shall we live, remembering we are whole? Peace is how we live, love is how we live, this is how we live.
Thank you, Judy. You got it? Okay. Oh, now it's time for our offering. And Sharon, would you be so kind as to pass the offering basket? We got so used to just doing the virtual offering while COVID was here. But I think it's actually very instructive, if you will, that we actually see our offerings being brought to the front and blessed. So let's just all know that this money, this physical offering that has been given today and given via the internet, our website, PayPal, what other forms of offerings that have been given. Just bless these as Jesus blessed the baskets, knowing that this offering is multiplied. And also those who have offered a piece and a part of themselves in any way whatsoever are so blessed, and they also are acknowledging the abundance of the universe in their life, just as we acknowledge that abundance in this spiritual community. So we know that we do tithe from this out to our community. Whatever is in this basket, the prayers, the energy, the money, blesses much more than just ourselves here. So we are so grateful for this. And we know the power of the law of attraction and the abundance of the universe. And so it is. Thank you, Sharon. And there are a number of folks who have contributed to today, to our production of this service. Starting at the front, we have Vicki, and we have Barry, and Judy. Thank you so much for our music. And in the back, behind the camera and the computer, we have Cleona, and we have Edwin, and we appreciate everyone's help in making this production successful. You are all so blessed. So thank you for joining us today in Zoomland and here in the sanctuary, of course. And lastly, you can stay around in the meeting, in the Zoom meeting for a few minutes and meet and greet there. And please join us in the social hall if you're here and have some, I understand we have a pumpkin spice pecan cake today. So you're right.
I heard you tested it.
Oh, okay. I did take a test drive, yes. So please stand as you're able and read with me the benediction, followed by our congregational song. Congregational, what can I say? Hey, Jim and Dean, it's nice to hear you. So, Spirit in the midst of us is mighty. Joy, peace, and eternal life are our true nature and flow through us into the world. And so it is.